They say a mother's love is unconditional, but I found out the hard way that my children's love had a price tag, exactly $350,000. While my daughter was picking out her dream kitchen with my money, I was booking a one-way ticket to Rome. Now, I'm the villain of the family Facebook group, and my grandkids aren't allowed to call me. Here is the true story of how I traded my legacy for a life worth living. The weight of the sensible life. For 27 years, my name wasn't Evelyn. My name was Can you pick up the dry cleaning? Can you watch the kids this weekend? Can you host Thanksgiving? I was the silent engine of a middle-class American dream. My husband, Mark, was a man of spreadsheets and silence. We lived by a code of deferred gratification. We saved every penny so that, one day, we could finally breathe. But Mark never got to breathe. He died at his desk, his fingers still hovering over a retirement calculator. When the funeral ended and the casseroles stopped arriving, the silence in our four-bedroom house in Ohio was deafening. But it wasn't just the house that was empty, it was the way my children looked at me. Sarah and Jason didn't see a grieving woman. They saw a bank. At the post-funeral brunch, over lukewarm coffee, Jason started talking about generational wealth. "Mom," he said, leaning in with that tone people use for the elderly or the incompetent, "Dad would want us to be smart with the insurance. With the house market peaking, it's the perfect time to liquidate and set up trust funds for the grandkids. We've already looked at some properties for you, smaller, manageable condos. Near the mall." They had already moved me into a manageable box. They had spent my husband's death benefits in their heads before I had even picked out a headstone. That was the first crack in the glass. The radical awakening. The second crack came when I found Mark's dream folder. Tucked away in a locked drawer was a collection of brochures for vintage car tours through Tuscany and sailing trips in Greece. He had been planning for a someday that never came. I looked at my reflection in the hallway mirror, a woman who had spent decades buying the value pack of everything so her kids could have brand-name sneakers. My skin was sallow, my hair was a sensible bob of "I've given up," and my wardrobe was a graveyard of beige cardigans. I realized then that if I followed my children's plan, I would spend the next 30 years as a glorified, unpaid nanny in a manageable condo, watching my hard-earned money disappear into Sarah's kitchen renovations and Jason's failed tech startups. I didn't call a family meeting. I called a realtor. The transformation. The sale of the house was swift. I sold the furniture, the memories, and the heavy oak table where I'd served 10,000 meals. I took the insurance payout, the equity, and the 401k, and I didn't put it in a trust. I put it in a high-yield account with only one name on it, mine. I spent the first $20,000 on myself. It felt like a sin at first. I went to a top-tier surgeon in Chicago for a refresh, not to look 20, but to look like the woman I was before the world demanded I be a servant. I bought silk, I bought linen, and I bought a one-way ticket to Rome. The transformation wasn't just physical. It was the way I carried myself. In the US, a woman over 50 is often treated as if she's slowly becoming transparent. In Italy, I felt visible. I felt like a person again. The viral confrontation. The explosion happened 3 months in. I was sitting on a terrace in Ravello, the scent of lemons thick in the air, when I finally answered a Zoom call from my children. I didn't hide the view. I didn't hide the glow. "Mom, we've been trying to reach the estate lawyer," Sarah began, her voice trembling. "He says the house funds were transferred to a private account." "What's going on?" "We had a deposit down on the new place. The funds are being used, Sarah," I said, sipping a glass of chilled Vermentino. "By me. For my life." The screen erupted. Jason called me delusional. Sarah accused me of having a nervous breakdown. But the sharpest blow came when Jason said, "You're stealing from your own grandchildren. That money was their bridge to a better life. You're blowing it on a vacation." "It's not a vacation, Jason. It's a life," I replied. "And I didn't steal it. I earned it. Every meal cooked, every bill paid, every sacrifice made for 27 years was the work that earned this payout. You aren't entitled to the finish line of a race you didn't run." The moral fallout. Since that call, my children have gone nuclear. They've posted on Facebook about elderly exploitation, hinting that my new Italian friends are scammers taking advantage of a confused widow. They've cut off my access to the grandkids' photos. My bridge club friends back home are divided. Half of them are whispering that I've lost my mind and my moral compass. The other half, they're secretly texting me, asking for the name of my surgeon and my travel agent. I am now the villain in my children's story, but I am finally the hero in my own. I spend my mornings learning Italian and my afternoons looking at the sea. My skin is tan, my laughter is loud, and for the first time in my life, I don't owe anyone an explanation. Evelyn's final word. They say a mother's love is unconditional. But is a child's love conditional on the size of the inheritance? I chose myself. And if that makes me a monster in the eyes of my children, at least I'm a monster with a great view and a clear conscience. What do you, the community, think? AITA? Am I the jerk? Team Evelyn. She paid her dues. The kids are entitled and need to build their own lives. Team Kids. She's being selfish. Generational wealth is the only way to survive today's economy, and she's blowing it on luxuries. The middle ground. She should have given them something, but kept the majority for herself. What would you do if you were in Evelyn's shoes? Drop a comment below, I'm reading all of them.